So good afternoon, everyone. We hope you are well and safe at home. We at Sterling Developers and Canadian International School would like to thank you for joining us on this webinar to talk about tackling COVID now and in the future. We would like to welcome our first panelist and speaker for this afternoon, Dr. Ravindra Mehta, Chief of Critical Care, Consultant Pulmonologist and Sleep Medicine Specialist at Apollo Hospital, Jayanagar, Bangalore. Dr. Mehta has been certified by the American Board of Medical Specialties for pulmonary medicine, interventional pulmonology, critical care medicine, sleep disorders medicine, and internal medicine. Thank you, Dr. Mehta, for taking the time out today to speak with us.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be here, and thanks a lot, Anjana, Ramani, and everybody else, and welcome my colleagues also. Hi, Ranga. It's unusual to be here. You can't say it's nice to be here because it's a very, a time I've never done this before. I mean, we all know each other for a fair number of years, and I've dealt with interesting situations, complex ones at that too. But this is something which has completely taken us by storm. And the idea of today's presentation was initiated by Ramani when he said that people would like to know. And, both of us agreed that, okay, if you really want to know more about it, then we can talk of it from both a medical perspective and other perspectives. Now, here is the catch out here. If I make it purely medical, it becomes very boring. And each one of you, if you've been sitting at home with the onslaught of social media, then you probably know a lot. A lot means a real lot. So we're going to try and make it both interesting from a background perspective, medical aspects you may not have thought about, and what most interestingly you guys want to know is what is the way ahead. By no means is this supposed to be a comprehensive thing on how to tackle the crisis. There is no way coming with all solutions to you, but certainly we're getting both domain knowledge and perspective on the ground in a fashion which hopefully will be adding to the whole discussion. So we start with this PowerPoint, and we will walk you through everything over here. And like she said, we'll be happy to take questions in the end. The picture is ominous. It's a little small 1-micron virus, and it is titled "The Journey of 1,000 Miles Starts with a Single Step." And here it's been something which is a journey which is not only 1,000 miles but undefined at this point. So let's go with a little background, and do forgive me for a little redundancy as I build up the whole story. In December, the story starts when an ophthalmologist, an eye specialist in China, notices some unusual viral infections. And this 34-year-old gentleman then alerts people to say that is this similar to this coronavirus we saw a while ago. Obviously, just like everybody else, he's largely ignored. And then it turns out that that is a beginning. That was the trailer of what was supposed to come. And that seems a long time ago, but basically it took the world by storm. The biggest hurricane, storm, or tornado the world has ever seen. Wuhan is a city very few of us know. It has now become, in the first grade children will know about it right now. It went rapidly across more than 200 countries now in cruise ships who got their own entity. And the biggest issue was the speed, the rapidity, the enormous gear it went into, where healthcare facilities got overwhelmed. And we have been seeing the story in the reverse of what we usually see. Most developed of countries and state-of-the-art healthcare facilities are struggling as we speak on the ground, with nothing changing in terms of containing it. And it has been appropriately termed as the catastrophic event of the century, because the last similar event was 1918. So anyone who's 90 plus also says they have never seen this sort of either event or measures required to contain it. We're in the midst of a countrywide lockdown, and that's why at 2:30 in the afternoon I can get so many of you on the same platform, and vice versa. Future lockdown reliefs and re-lockdowns are being talked about. We hope that it's not an indefinite process. Incidence is going exponentially, and those corona calculators are like the stock exchange. People are, it's all coming on TV channels, much to both our initial interest, but now our disdain. Testing is limited. Don't forget that we came at the tail end of this epidemic. It swung from China, went to Europe, and from Europe made its way to North America. So they have pretty much not only absorbed but sucked the world resources. So we are dealing with testing platforms which are coming at the tail end. So obviously we are in trouble. Not to mention that we start with a country of 1.25 billion. These are the latest numbers we picked up from one of the trackers today. Around 30K cases, around 1,000 deaths. The leaders of the pack quickly zoomed ahead, as we can imagine. It's the populated states of Maharashtra. The deaths and all are shown out there. Delhi rapidly caught up. Gujarat was speeding up on the side, much to our chagrin, and then Rajasthan and Karnataka seems to be sitting pretty. And all of us are thinking, we're doing good and congratulating ourselves and patting our backs as to a task well done, but currently the final word has not been said. These cluster areas were known to everybody as they started to come up as hotspots, and those what's called super spreaders also came up as entity, not difficult to understand. Metros are the main foci and the districts are difficult to monitor. Bangalore predictions were pretty horrible, and all these were based on these epidemiological GWIS guys. These guys who sit in a corner with their computers and look at trends, whom you never heard about, who put down such horrendous numbers on the ground that 2 to 3 weeks ago everybody said, and that things have to be done in a rapid fire fashion, and the government converted a whole 1,000-bed hospital and planned for 3,000 beds on the ground as part of government plan. Countrywide preparations in healthcare, governments are gearing up, still challenges galore as they try to figure out what's going on, and they have to be on their feet all the time. They are concentrating on public health and healthcare delivery. So not everything comprehensively in the whole gamut of corona status can be done by them. Healthcare struggles have been the people and PP. Just like we all panicked, everybody has panicked. We may call healthcare workers as warriors, but they're not meant to be the sergeants, majors, and generals of the world. So they have also been struggling. And this word personal protective equipment went into an arena which everybody realized that if you can't get the right armamentarium to face the onslaught of this infective virus, how are you going to fight it? Private sector was because of the governmental response, and we borrowed from other areas. If UK has NHS, US doesn't have completely a private sector, but it has a pretty robust government sector. Italy is totally government. So patchy, the private sector was relegated to second place with patchy few beds reserved, and private sector also tried to stay away because this is alien. It is all consuming. It is devastating, and nobody wanted to deal with it first. So it's still work in progress as we see the pandemic evolve. Some stuff that you may have seen, that the transmission dynamics to figure out why so infected. So much as we tried to feel good about it and say we've seen TB, which is horrible, we've seen H1N1 pretty bad, TB is there on our doorstep, it's there all the time. The ability of COVID-19 to infect people became the focus of much study. And it came down the average number of people that 1% of the virus can infect or that are not. You don't need to be technical, but that's a simple term. Is in the range of around 2.5 to 3. H1N1, which was there in 2009, was a little lesser, so it was pretty bad. But COVID is higher, and that's why if you let people loose and don't have these distancing and lockdowns, you're going to get into real trouble. And that's how the whole thing marshaled into the fact that we need to actually shut down human contact to be able to contain this. Those of you who thought H1N1 was less, in my opinion, it was pretty bad, but it didn't have social media and WhatsApp. So COVID is a super H1N1 at a very high level with WhatsApp. So it has not only taken up medical meaning, but has also marshaled into a lot of lay, public, and overall interest, especially when you understand that we never locked down in H1N1 in particular. The scientific rationale behind this word social distancing, which we think should be called physical distancing, just a line on that. Social distancing is a pretty bad word, we feel. Physical distancing means that you stay away at a certain physical distance to mitigate the virus spread and not try and shun people as the word social would indicate. These numbers are self-explanatory. Basically, one person, if you leave them alone, is going to take 406 people infected after a month. But if you put measures like social or physical distancing into place, it's going to be much better. So these graphic representations were made both for the lay people and everybody to understand that, get the act into shape and do this physical distancing maximally. We'll go through a whole bunch of myths and realities because in our attempts to try and educate people, we found out that that's one of the easiest ways to make people understand. Common misconceptions, intuitive knowledge, which is refined by both data understanding. This is also changing regularly, but as of now, this is what we understand and this is what we know. Myth, what we hope for. Our heat, what we didn't like, is what we really love now. The hot summer will prevent COVID-19 spread. But it turns out that no, unfortunately, neither the hot Indian summer nor the Indian immunity, which I'll come in the next point, is likely to protect us. You need pretty high degree of temperature, 60, 65. If you go to that level of Celsius temperature, it will probably kill the human before it kills the virus. So we can't depend on this particular aspect, much as the banking as it being part of the reason we may be okay. Then the fact that we are super Indians, we have a huge culture of having the good Lord and many such things, and a religious country protecting us, and we have innate immunity, cross immunity. I am a superior human being, children of a higher God. It turns out there's nothing like that. The reason they called it CoV-2 is it's novel. Novel means it's new. New means that the immune system has not seen it. And if it's not seen it, how is it going to act? And that's why this BCG theory that everybody who's after 1970 has been immunized by BCG may be protected is a lovely theory, trying to get validated with trials, but not something we can bank on. So understand that in trying to feel good about it, we have banked on everything we're different on. We are hot, only in a temperature sort of way. We have great immunity. We've taken BCG and so on. So we've dug into every naturopathic characteristic and medication aspect in the closet and trying to see that if we have pre-existing lovely characteristics to protect ourselves. So currently it's a myth. Then the fact came is the Chinese. Now the Chinese are a source of information, and the Chinese are looked upon it from both angles. A, no option, they got it first and they spread it first, so we got to lean on them. B, for the first time they have projected in literature. They never used to writing up English literature, ability to publish the rigorous science which leads to their imprint in journals. Never, it's not easy. But this time, whatever got released from China came out. So China was accepted in publications because of they were there. Bill Gates got accepted in the publication, a New England Journal of Medicine, because he put the first $100 million on the ground for COVID-19 fights. So here China said older people are going to get affected, and they threw in everything else: chronic lung disease, heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, immune compromise, and so on and so forth. Then the scene shifts to UK, US, and you know what? It's affecting the younger population too. And there's reasons for this. It's probably because Corona or COVID-19 is not cookie cutter. Much as we would like to believe that it's the same, if we have 8 billion people on Earth, each with their own individual DNA, and no one person being similar to the other ever, or in the history of mankind, the viruses also have different sort of characteristics. So you may have a lighter variant, a heavier variant, they're mutating and so on. So certainly we don't know that what will also affect the younger population. So they're not exempted. The incidences are less. So example, the curve goes off above the age of 60. When you go to 3.8% chance of mortality and above 80, it goes to 14% chance of not making it if you get COVID-19. But younger people in these developed countries have also been affected. However, we will also submit and admit that they have better reserves. If you don't have lung disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, and so on, you probably have a better chance of fighting off the virus. Then came down to the fact that why are we getting all this sort of prominence, that it's a respiratory illness, or respiratory is part of what we do, and usually we see fever. Turns out fever is not mandatory for the diagnosis of COVID, and COVID became the master mimic. The master mimic was the title originally given to tuberculosis. It can do anything. Tuberculosis, poor fellow, has now been relegated to the background as a chronic killer whom we can say at least we know what to do. We have treatment, medications, and we have accepted tuberculosis. But here, for example, COVID can present with gastrointestinal, constitutional, which means headache, body ache, anything is possible. Diarrhea is possible. Heart symptoms can get worse. Asthma attacks, lung disease, smoking lung disease exacerbations. Strokes in the Chinese cohorts have come with 14% COVID, expression. So it's really now going from indefinable to completely ubiquitous, which is not something we like. Because in medicine, we like to know what we're dealing with. We like constellations of symptoms. We like clinical diagnosis. We like to define entities so that we actually look smart in front of everybody. And COVID is breaking that paradigm at this point. A little line on symptomatology without inundating with medical facts. So turns out fever is a ballpark figure of 75%, and that's for 1 in 4 will not have fever. Cough is also not a given. You can see the numbers out there. Shortness of breath comes late. If you get short of breath, time to seek attention with COVID. Otherwise, short of shortness of breath, you're going to be okay, to put an interesting alliteration out there. And so if you really get into that syndrome, you're going to get into trouble. We'll show you that. And this particular thing came out there, that lack of smell and lack of taste. So initially, this is COVID specific. Later, no, may not be COVID specific. And now, yes, there is more people with this sort of symptoms. So pure these symptoms also, not chronic ones, ladies and gentlemen. Acute change can also herald COVID-19. And then pretty much everything I can put on the list out there, which is going to happen to any one of us in the next 30 days, may be COVID. It is not a given COVID, it may be COVID. It's just to tell you that it is a non-specific symptomatology entity which reduces our ability as clinicians to diagnose it. And that is why more and more reports are coming, low index of suspicion, high index of suspicion, low threshold to find out what's going on, and no more and more. So, we thought that also some of us will get a chance to sit home and enjoy our hobbies, Netflix and all, as these lockdowns are there. Turns out that some of us in the front line, these pulmonary critical care fields, have worked more in the last 4 weeks than before, because the information highway is actually going like the Autobahn, with so many reports coming in. To give you an example, in our medical literature, 1,400 reports came in the last week on aspects on COVID. Also, the journals are being like the FDA, fast tracking. Things are getting fast tracked and coming into print even with proper review. So more and more information is coming with two challenges: ability to absorb, ability to sift through it, and ability to integrate. It's a major challenge on our hands at this point. What worried all of you and worried us is the fact that these asymptomatic guys, that for God's sake, if you have an illness, at least if you're symptomatic, you can come above. You can not be submerged like a submarine, but come into the gamut of seeking help. Turns out many people will be asymptomatic, 5 to 80%. And 2-3 days ago, Indian data is showing that if we screen and we're testing, 80% of our crowds also asymptomatic. And then some of these are called pre-symptomatic. So if I'm asymptomatic today and 4 days later develop symptoms, it means I was incubating the disease and I'm pre-symptomatic. So these asymptomatic and pre-symptomatics are those hidden killers. They are those equivalent of what the KGB put in the world earlier in the Cold War time. And these guys will suddenly become the spreaders of COVID-19. And so that's why it's getting to be a bigger challenge, that when you think of a public health strategy, it is very, very challenging, and hence these lockdowns and Zoom meetings and so on, where we're trying to keep people away from each other. Let me put some more perspective into the picture as we try to understand. So we think it's definable, right? We love definable things, but it's completely not listening to us. One is, of course, the classical COVID disease. That is what got you afraid, and that's why you're sitting on this webinar. The sick guys, the US, UK population dying and so on. That's only one spectrum, which we've seen only in limited fashion in India right now. Then comes the fact is what we're trying to point out, that I have other chronic diseases and I get COVID on top of that. And then COVID doesn't do its full act. We don't have all act 1 to 4 of the drama. It does a little, but the disease and COVID start this dance, which is going to be difficult to predict. Then comes the fact that, you know what, I've got heart issues, I've got heart attacks, I've got angioplasties, I've got asthma, which can go in any age group, and my disease flares up irrespective of COVID. But COVID also had a role. So how much of COVID, how much of disease is what we're trying to figure out. So another area which is completely challenging. And then came the fact that, okay, for God's sake, leave all these guys. I need an operation for my gallbladder, which acted up. And turns out that if I'm a carrier, if a knife is put on me for any surgery, down the line it's possible that surgery itself may drop the immune system and unmask the disease. So that is the reason these hospitals in Bombay went like 9 pins when they took up a guy in Wockhardt Hospital and operated, and 4 days later he got a fever and turns out he has COVID, and then everybody went into panic, and 30 and 40 and healthcare workers going down. Wockhardt closes in Bombay, Jaslok Oncology closes, then we have Khar Hinduja closing, Saifi closing. It just became some sort of a snowballing panic-driven effect. Then comes the asymptomatic guys we talked about, and then now you realize that it is actually a potpourri, that you don't know what is going to be playing a role out there. Some have only public health ramifications, some have personal ramifications, but for us in healthcare and you as an individual, to understand that each one of these is playing a role in disease, and again, we are learning, actually on the ground learning about all this as time goes by. So they'll actually show you COVID disease, maybe asymptomatic, lovely, you know what, this is a typical American, for example, in Michigan, shouting outside Governor Whitney's thing with 1,000 cars as those guys went on the road and saying, you are, taking our freedom away. This is the sort of guy. And she declares that thanks to this act, we have to increase the lockdown. So this is America for you in all its beauty, the country, the golden land. We all want to go there and sending our children and doing all sorts of stuff out there. So these are the asymptomatic guys. Then is when you fall a little sicker, the mild symptoms. This is a typical virus. You can't, make out the common virus, and in the next 30 days, one of us will get a regular viral infection. So these are things which actually in the past used to be grandma's methodologies, remedies, just stay at home, drink a lot of water, take some paracetamol, take whatever is given to you in terms of soup, chicken soup and all that, and get better. These are the mild categories. These are still currently in home isolation in our country. These are the guys hitting healthcare, worrisome, need hospitalization basically, need oxygen at this point, not able to breathe. You can see the worry on his face. And the black is good, the white is bad. White is not good. So this guy is in trouble. And these are the highest red level of healthcare, and things may get worse. And this is what worried all of you. The person on the ventilator, this is sitting in a hospital bed, critically ill, multi-organ failure. So this disease, which we hope was just respiratory, turns out to be a highly mischief monger. It is affecting the heart, it is affecting kidneys, the vascular system, many areas, the brain at this point. So these are the ones critically ill. And once the virus goes running amok, so it's all about load. You guys know load more than anything else. If X comes in, but if it's going crazy and your immune system and many other factors are not handling it, then this is what's happening. So that is the whole spectrum of COVID-19 disease explained graphically, and hopefully I have not petrified you beyond the point. It's supposed to be knowledge and information. Myths and realities continued. Okay, what are we? We are powerful people. We all, Ramni and everybody say, I need to get a swab. Why I can't get a swab? I've done everything in this country as I wanted to get. Turns out you just can't get it at this point. We talked about the fact that, we are at the tail end. We're absolutely the last guy, the bottom of the barrel for the resources part of the world right now. So we don't have test kits. They've got criteria. The policeman is ICMR. Indian Council of Medical Research, they put out guidelines. So much as you want, neither money nor pull nor clout can get you a swab very easily. You got to form in certain criteria. So we're waiting. This may change every week. What we have learned in COVID-19 is dynamic on your feet thinking. I'll say something today, 1 week later, I have to keep modifying it, and that is why version 1, version 2 is keep coming faster than you can ever imagine, faster than the iPhones which you all are carrying at this point. COVID test negative means we have no COVID. So we loved it in the beginning. A month ago, I've done tests on people. I had a London person come in. I had a Australian person come in. They came in, they were worried. We did the swab. We said, yay, yippee. Turns out, no. The swab has its own limitations and so on. So up to 70 to 80% properly done. And so the science of repeat swabs and so on. So ultimately, your doctor has to take a call. That's where the medical part comes in, integrating with tests. It's not black and white. Just like COVID is showing, it's got plenty of shades of gray. And then came this antibody testing. And I'm talking to you guys because I'm pretty sure that you have significant social media, WhatsApp, reading as part of your regular portfolio. This antibody testing came in, and then recently we got these kits, and they were used, and they were Chinese kits, and China in its true form is, those kits are not good for the ground. They have been withdrawn. We'll have to get them again. You all are getting mails. Some of you are pretty prolific and well-known and linked people. So your CEOs are saying, I have this on the ground. If you want 1,000, I can give it to you for this much money. And everyone's wondering what to do. That in this race for safety and the race for being ahead, all the old tricks basically are not working well. As you have been juggling 20 balls in the air, 18 of them fall on the ground right now because of the unfortunate nature of the speed and the changing paradigms which are going on. With lockdown will fix it all? Well, we wish. Lockdown was initially an appropriate immediate response. Humans spreading to humans, separate separate by a national dictum or doctrine, well learned from other parts of the world and validated by science, will lead to at least a time to figure it out. And these last 4 weeks, if they're written down in the history of time, will be something, it will be like chaotic, how things came, how they were implemented. Decisions are getting rapidly either validated, thrown out, modified, and so on. Like we never imagined. The lockdown is great, but which country in the world has seen this migrant worker paradigm? Which country has people in Rajasthan who are working in Kerala and vice versa and so on? So it's been a massive exercise in trying to figure out all these things. The reality is lockdown first measure will slow the spread, and that is why you're not seeing the cases. Let me reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are sitting in your houses doing the best of what is to be done, cases are not coming up. Cases are coming up where things are getting loose, where indiscreetly aspects are happening, which is part of the human race. But understanding one day we have to open it, the idea was that figure out the disease, put your measures into place on public health platform, and healthcare gets ready to prevent what happened to the UK, US, Italy, Spain, and so on. Myth is government centers can manage all. Well, government is the first responder. Your tax dollars go heavily towards the government's resources. And don't forget, I don't know how many of our tax dollars are going to be left at the end of the line with this economic crash to fund the government. But the middle class and upper class is used to the private sector. The highest level of tertiary care, I'm pretty sure that all of you have usually definitely go to the private sector. Talent and leaders are abundant in the private sector, but funnily the allotment of resources have not been there. And we're trying to submit an article about that, but we have few takers. And I'm going to put it in our blog, which we shared with you, that we are not completely looking at the current distribution of healthcare to decide our resource allocation. But hell, this is what's there on the ground, and this is what I'm here to tell you. We did a survey in the last week of March, where we asked our young daughter to at least do something better than sit on social media and so on. And so she put this survey, and we realized that yes, the middle class and the higher class, the rich class want to see better care. They're worried about the government infrastructure, and they will pay. Everyone feels that payments will not come, which is essential, but people will pay because what's more important to you than your health. So this is something which is there in the spectrum, but not talked about and not implemented long enough, and we'll have to see how it pans out over time. Another myth and reality affects the underprivileged only, and that's why the government system was marshalling its resources as its overall responsibility. You can see all the famous faces out there. The gentleman who tried to say herd immunity, 55-year-old with his significant other, having a baby, he shakes the hands of every leader, then gets COVID himself. Not only gets COVID, he becomes the third character on oxygen, goes to Guy's Thomas, has a massive marshal of resources, and fortunately makes it out. But it really was something which blew this whole herd immunity, to eternity. So, and then of course you saw Prince Charles, you saw Justin Trudeau, his wife, and we think he may have got it because it's not easy to declare, heads of states as having COVID. And then film stars, you saw that dance thing which went around a film star who came back from abroad. And healthcare workers, we're really worried. 100 in Italy, we're going down like flies. Because clearly, if we don't have enough of understanding on the ground and protective equipment, this protective equipment was not available. There is nowhere in my practice where we've had people, we have people you don't recognize. My own, when I walk into an ICU, I have to ask them the names, and we've cost tags because when they sit in a whole year out there with their only eyes. Eye language is great in our old Hindi movies, but certainly eye language doesn't come and have to recognize you and me. So it's a completely different paradigm shift in healthcare. Understand that if you actually have a COVID setup, you will enter with your relative, hand over and go. And wondering yourself whether if the test comes positive, whether you need to be tested. So it is a paradigm never seen before with such levels of infectivity in most people's lifetimes. Continuing the myths and reality spectrum, there are effective medications, and we love that, right? Of course, we are prepared. We are 2020 on the, we're zooming right now. My phone can do anything. I'm smartphones, satellites are there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no effective medications at this point. It is all a potpourri put on the ground, using everything old from the closet, rapidly put trials, put into something, and sent out with the smartest guys. So now I have to use my entire 5 American degrees, sit with you in a straight face and say, yes, this works. Of course it works, we'll do something for you. But if I actually tell you from a data point of view, we don't have categorical effective medications, but things are working. Things are working. Studies are happening, trials are coming. It's an information yo-yo. I was thinking of roller coaster, but I thought yo-yo is better because it swings from side to side much faster. And convalescent plasma, all the latest stuff we are promising, but still in trials. But we have a cocktail which will be thrown at any one of us if we get into these hospitals and ICUs. This I thought I'll address after my conversations with Ramni. Ventilator. Now, each one of us now, how this ventilator entity is like your car. Ventilator will save my life, and I should arrange one forthwith. A ventilator is a last step before demise. It stands between you and the good Lord. Understand that this ventilator science is very weird. Once you go on a ventilator, it's not that it's going to be great. Now we're moving actually. It's not like Tom Cruise in MI4. Ventilator mortality goes from 25 to 95%. Understand, depending on your disease spectrum, your age, your risk factors, and so on, and all the other stuff done for you. Currently, the attempt is to do everything between us and ventilation. We put everything between the COVID person and ventilation, and a lot of science is coming on, do this, do that, but avoid going on ventilation. And understand that those of us who are quickly placing our Amazon orders for ventilators after May 3rd, more important than the ventilator is the team managing you who knows best what is there. And so we have been sweating out there, basically trying to figure out, take the literature from China, whom we believe with all its past records, Italy, United Kingdom, US, what are they putting out, and then put all that together and try to figure out what to expect. Ultimately, we only know when on the ground. So our native intelligence, our experience, our ability to put systems into place, and then the unique parts of COVID will be the cocktail which we ultimately use to try and do something about this. So it's still an art and a science, very much both of them, and it's moving, like I said, at the speed of a BMW on the autobahn. Other myths and realities, my experienced doctor can diagnose COVID clinically. So unfortunately, we are breaking your myth of healthcare. Turns out it's very challenging. I made enough of a case that there's no characteristic symptoms as of now. It's either testing or a keen index of suspicion, or ultimately, if I can't make out, you stay at home and you Zoom all you want, but we shall not see you with people. Senior doctors are more likely not to be part of the active workforce of the hospitalized COVID. So, a lot of us have been going to them, but now they will not, because above 60, 3.8 and the risk factors are going high. So it's understandable. So we have to rethink our entire healthcare paradigms also. Then what I always believe, like my friend called me from US 2 days ago and he said, I'm sitting with a NIH grant and working my rear out on trying to put, rigorous science, and here he says that you have Swamiji's coming at 8 a.m. and they have the largest turnover that the country can see. I wish that all these vitamin C, zincs, immune enhancing drugs, my right vitamins, Centrum, the billion-dollar industry, my combinations of ajwain, this, that, whatever could improve, lemon and all that stuff. There is nothing to say that it's going to protect you. So follow a healthy lifestyle. No one's going to say, but it's not that it's going to protect you. Unhealthy is bad, but healthy is not necessarily the armor which is going to make you get away with this, and so on and so forth. I put this word hydroxychloroquine because there was a full scramble for it, and we love scrambles that day. It was like, country, give me the drug and a rush for it. But it's not us. If US can have toilet paper as being the most important word of phrase of last month, then definitely hydroxychloroquine. So people accumulated. Take this drug, it will protect me. We don't know. ICMR put out a guideline, no rigorous data. Currently, they're saying only for healthcare workers on the front line, not even the ones who are sitting at home. So there's a lot of people, right? Skin specialists and all who may not be doing it, even for that matter, surgeons who do cold work and so on. It's meant for active healthcare workers, and people take care of that, taking care of COVID patients, and that too, we're looking at that with a pinch of salt as data comes in. Myth for healthcare. We can start admitting COVID patients. So what was healthcare? Take a guy who, get somebody who has money, a lot of them are you over there, put a facility into place, buy everything out there, get the doctors, and put some systems and launch. That's not going to work. Basically, the high amount of infectivity, the planning, the huge equipment required, the preparation for people. For example, when I'm in a regular outpatient department, we'll be seeing patients, we'll go room to room, we pick up the phone and answer, we'll be typing something, it's gone. When we put on that personal protective equipment, we are stuck there. You can't do a thing. How to put it on, how to behave in that, how to take it off, how to communicate, all that takes a lot of training. And let's not forget, even healthcare people need to be completely reoriented. So all the reasons I mentioned here, including our hospitals, are never made. We took a building, in India we took a building and converted it to a healthcare facility. But no, abroad if you see, they have massive buildings. So look at the Texases and look at Harvard's and Mass General's, massive. Cleveland is a city. Cleveland Clinic is actually a small city, maybe bigger than Jayanagar also. So our hospitals are never made. So we are all, the real estate value, huge amount of real estate value, where when we also started, every square foot is rental accounted and all, is a challenge which we are actually facing when it comes to doing the right healthcare facilities. And if we don't plan well in advance and do the trainings like SWAT teams, and we've written articles which we're happy to share on the blog, we will not be able to do our job well. Let's be futuristic. What lies in the next 3 to 6 weeks? Lockdown lifts, hopefully stays off, reinstituted. We're seeing Singapore, South Korea, the numbers are going to go up, ladies and gentlemen. When you put human to human, it will go up, and we have to expect that. Community spread is there. It's just that we're not acknowledging it. It's just that it's more in some places like pack leaders like Maharashtra. We are now worried, as I said, that every respiratory illness and other illnesses will be a potential COVID, and the non-respiratory mix also concerning. And then comes the not so nice news, which we scratched the head on. is that this may go on for months. So those of us who are feeling that, okay, now it's done, now it's done, now it's done. It may not happen at all, because that's the way pandemics behave. A science we don't want to hear about, a science we don't want to know much about is what it's representing. And you know, all these big guys, when they talk on and give us all this knowledge, is actually both illuminating but concerning, and usually leaves us with a bitter taste in the mouth. Because then these Italians put all these patients into one hospital, and then the infectivity was something they had to deal with. So this is something we are all trying to learn from, but implementing only so far. We got to get prepared in the next few weeks for at least healthcare and other areas which I'll talk about. Life in the near future, we're going slightly off medical also, because I know you want to do that, and I'm not a carrier of great news, but I'm the messenger, but I'll try and give you a positive spin in the end. Each and every aspect of life, as we know it, will have to transition from lockdown. This is the worst thing to usual. So we're hoping for a swift thing to life as usual. Not going to happen. The usual may be a pipe dream for now. Life as we know it, and more we've been on earth, the more we want usual. It's going to be very, very difficult. Going out, mobility as we take for granted. So that's why the American sitting out there in California, give me my freedom back. He's going with guns out there. Coronavirus and guns are not compatible. This is not something. So our mobility, our freedom, our independence, our so-called democracy, something is going to be completely challenged at this point. We'll become guys with passes. Can you imagine now we go in our cars with passes at this point? Work as we know it is going to get redefined. Entertainment, which keeps us going. Whatever we built in the last 10 years to represent what is our fiber, movies, malls, theaters, sports. If you look at the sports page, the Times of India has become like, it's gone from a heavy, prototype newspaper to a little, what we call as a pamphlet literally. The sports page has nothing on it. There is no sports page. They've shrunk everything over there. Mass transport, we don't know how to restart it. A major challenge for everybody. Airlines, those planes have never been so grounded as now, and we don't know when they're going to start. Jet fuel is available like water at this point as we struggle with what's going on the ground. International travel seems to be like we better go back to the Star Trek days, beam me up, Scotty, than think of getting on a regular plane and buying a ticket and going on. And today we were reviewing, and I have to smile when they said that the bathrooms are the highly infective areas, because that's where people go and cough and spit and so on and so forth, and not even put the lid on when they flush. So even going to a public bathroom is going to be something quite concerning. I do have to smile when I say that, because it's a complete paradigm shift. To put something into perspective, the COVID truths, as we like to call them, it's here to stay. Adaptation is maybe the task of a lifetime, because all of you guys, you run your systems. You are the kings of what you survey. Unfortunately, this little 1 micron virus is redefining our existences. Data is changing rapidly. So you say, Ravi, help me now. Give me a chance. This is version so and so. It'll keep changing every week. Issues from setup to setup. We never realize every setup, from facilities to transport to every industry, has to look at it, because it's always gender COVID information, infectivity information, and how I run my facility. These three basically will tell you everything about what needs to be done, and each is a science by itself. Core problems are the infectivity, the non-specific clinical picture, tests we talked about, and hopefully this will get better. And for the first time, it's very distressing where provider, I take off this word doctor, provider, patient, community, all are scared of each other. You do not believe how we take permission. Can I come and meet you? Do I have a mask on me? And recently I was stopped and I was driving my car by a policeman, a ground level policeman told me, wear a mask. And I had to admit that in my car, he's being told to wear a mask, so there's nobody there, but I have to listen to him despite all these American boards, which are pieces of paper when it comes to actually sitting at the ground level. COVID arena for each one of us is public. What are each one of us is doing as both a citizen, and a lot of you are contributing so much when you're feeding people and doing so much. Organizational, which is your challenge, because you have to set up systems with existing knowledge. Individual is what happens to me as we both put brave faces at the same time, are petrified in the background as we start coughing here and there and wondering, is this what is going to take me down? The tools are understanding, and we're sitting there, and for that we appreciate your time. Precautions, what is known out there, and the PPE word in some fashion or the other, simplest is the cloth mask, and going up to the biggest things, the hazmat suits like thing which we have in healthcare. We don't have them. We hope we have them in the right time and the right place. Personalization, you don't need to be completely a medical guy. It's all there on the net now. For example, me, I never learned engineering. The reason I became a doctor is, weak mathematics and limited understanding. But I have now got to understand AHUs, FCUs, fan control units, what's going on, everything and so on. They're telling me GSMs, which is gram per square meter, materials, so garment factory, engineering, everything is part of it. And I can't remember the last time I had to look at all these things. So each one of us will be looking at all that. Prevention and prophylaxis, which is the magic wand we wanted. Give me this pill, pop this pill like a cholesterol pill or this blood pressure pill or treatment. We talked about that, no categorical proof. So I made a case that this is like never before. Predictions post-lockdown, which is what you want to know. Well, difficult to take all of India in the same context. We talk of India, Mera Bharat Mahan, film stars coming. We are not. We have 20 Italys. See the geography. Italy is 6 million yesterday. So 6 crores. So we have 20 Italys or UK's equivalent population, 4 USAs in this country. We are moving at different stages. So like we said, one state is going ahead, one state is going behind. And currently, as of yesterday's count, you guys want to go somewhere, go to either Arunachal Pradesh or Tripura. They seem to have 1 case each. So this is the way to catch the next transport and reach over there, because either they're not testing or they're really blissfully COVID limited. We're going to move at different rates, so we'll have to plan forms for different for different areas. We have our citizens. We have the whole Gulf. Dubai is exploding, and we have anywhere from 2 to 5 lakh people out there who are waiting to come back. And Kerala knows that, and so many other of even affluent people sitting is US, UK, and all waiting out there in dorms. We paid high-level money for these kids to get educated, and they're doing online education and eating from McDonald's out there, and they have to be relocated back. We will test the waters as people mingle, inevitable. It's just a question of timing. On the curve of the corona curve, we will tread the thin line between the infectious blow, which has got us into lockdown, and the economic hit, which is being talked of day in and day out. So you have wise man and Gani, all the Dumbledores of the world, basically telling you on one side, save yourself, other side saying, don't die of hunger. And it's an eternal struggle going on. And we're walking the tightrope with a mask. I found this guy with a mask talking tightrope. So I don't know why he wore the mask, but it's very interesting. He maybe thought of COVID times. I think the government has thrown its best anti-COVID punch. This lockdown and the mammoth effort to implement it, and with the highest level of integrity this country has seen, at least at the beginning. Now, of course, things are going as they are. Now, I think people will have to face the music. Trump already declared governor's marriage. I cannot do all these things. I've done all the goof up I have. Similarly, it will be up to the public and a lot of our systems to figure out what to do. The new tools which the lockdown helped us with is knowledge. We're learning more on the ground. Fear. Otherwise, no one would stay. If this was a terrorist issue, it was a fundamental issue, it was a compliance issue, it was a religious issue, we would all be fighting. Fear. Fear has kept us basically in our houses, and that's kept the compliance over there. Physical distancing is what we have learned much better. We'll have to implement that. Mask sanitization is a household term at this point. And the new normal, which is, I think, the industry touted lovely phrase, is what is hopefully going to help us. The wild cards on the personal note and beyond is that, okay, it's not that bad. If you look at the overall mortality, if you test a huge number of people, dying people are 0.6% in an eminent journal called the Lancet. Problem is the speed. That basically, if you go with a cycle, you will hit somebody and one fellow will fall. But if you take a BMW at 100 kilometers per hour and you will mow down people like crazy. So it's the overwhelming of healthcare and allied infrastructure, which is the problem. Working normally, we told you, is basically a pipe dream at this point. Looks like we have to modify. At best, modify and be happy. At worst, devastating. Manpower management, anxiety, panic, everything, including healthcare, is going through it. Resources and the cost. Our country was not in the best time of the world. We were going through financial hits one after the other, and now we're going through a wipeout when it comes to both. Now we can't even get workforce. Efficiency is gone. Workforce is not there. Migrant guys will be sent back to their homes. We require tons of money for all this stuff, screening PPE. We can't do the workflow and the efficiency which made us what we are. Infrastructure costs to try and do that. There's an economic free fall with no bottom so far is what we're seeing. And I put this into your things as things I came out with last night at 1 a.m. It's a seismic shift in our lives, but a tectonic shift in healthcare delivery as we try and figure this out. Silver lining, always something good must be there. Well, maybe all these smart guys with glasses figuring out epidemiological predictions have it wrong, and this lockdown is going to get us out. Yay, yippee and hip hip hooray. Mild infection in most people, like India seems to be showing, but it's lockdown effect. Asymptomatic people, if we make our peace that maybe these guys are just spreaders and it's not going to be that bad. Young, healthy people, though impacted, may not really be, they may get away, and that population at least will not hit healthcare. We are now geared up, we never distanced, Indian to Indian. If you go in a Bombay local, 17 years of age, and enter that dreaded entity called Mumbai local train, where you can transmit skin disease and every disease possible. That is our baseline PDSD. We are now much more geared up to at least thinking about it. WFH, work from home. We can't do it, but a lot of people, IT is really the king at this point as they try to implement that. Unfortunately, it's coming now and not 20 years ago. Maybe you had the dial-up internet, we were able to do all these things. And an equal reverse isolation of the elderly. You know what? Don't let them come out for a while. Keep them at home because that's the safest place at this point. And then, of course, what's the scientific community and the world at large, detection tests, preventive aspects, treatment. And then what I really thought, which I wrote in our blog also, is human adjustment time. Panic, knowledge, adjustment, reconciliation, everybody is smart. And then the corona coexistence paradigm. We've got to live with this, much as you want to wish and will it away, it's not going to happen. Let's learn how to deal with it. Our roles in planning, we formed this little mnemonic: acknowledge, plan, integrate, train, audit, modify. Audit is important because they're not used to it. They're not used to following all these things. And modifications on the ground as new information comes in. Some tips for facilities and so on, mindset changes. It's going to be a little longer, but I'll try and finish up in the next 5 minutes or so. BAU, business as usual. We all hope for it. Till March 20th or 25th, everybody was hoping for BAU. It's not going to go, and I put it down as one of the most euphemistic pandemic phrases that it's going to come back. Personal space, as I mentioned, that there's an alien concept to Indians. Rush is the rule and proximity is the mantra. We'll have to slow down. We'll have to reinforce this whole PD thing, which is personal distancing, physical distancing. Cleanliness and sanitation, we're not known for that. We have slums like Dharavi who have made it to the biggest tabloids in the world. We have to deal with all that. And the facility part of it, you have to look into your own facility and plan that. Plenty of help on the ground over there. Rethink the entire paradigm, and all this, all you guys are probably doing this. When you come back in, it will have to be resource planning, essential people. There's a whole bunch of people in every setup who are not required. You can figure out your facility part of it. What is the value addition of each human being, because it's both screening, entry, sanitation, and a potential spreader. I hate to use that word. So value addition of personnel, staggered shifts, using telemedia, self-reliance. If our chief minister can say 2 days ago, don't come and beat me, give me your money on the net, which is never said before, I'm sure, in his life, it's something to think about. The usual stuff is infection control, sick policy. Let's not panic and treat people humanly. We put an article saying that, corona casualties are not criminals, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, change the culture, slow down. It's tough for us also. We all work fast. We pride ourselves on efficiency. Now we have to slow down, and then dynamic change. And of course, at the bottom line, humanity and concern must be the driving force. The economic hit, we have existed month to month. I mean, we pride ourselves. 30th of the month, all data coming out, quarter to quarter. I mean, everything is based on that. Life will have to be recalculated because the disease is not looking at us. It actually put out a day-to-day paradigm and broke our entire month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter thinking. Personal planning, what I should do, you should do. It's a moving target. The usual stuff. I won't go through it. On the left side, you see what's there. On the right side, the travel part, it's going to be horribly redefined. And the elderly part. So now, who's elderly is a big thing right now. We'll have to get into that separately because elderly is based on your risk, based on the data coming out. Home health policy, we can't function. We basically work, we get help at home, and they also earn money. How many of them, where are they coming from? Apartments have gone nuts trying to manage this on their own and at the same time work from home. Entertainment and gatherings, we loved it. I mean, 2 days ago, these guys put some singers over there and they tried to do something about healthcare workers and all. It was miserable. Imagine that guy standing in the midst of a stadium with his entire sound effects at home trying to do something with a small setup. There was nothing out there. So it's all going to get redefined. Sports is going to get redefined. And a welcome society like ours, guests are not always welcome, especially the ones who keep moving from place to place and you have to keep asking them where you were. The infodemic, which parallels the pandemic, it's information. It's been a revealing thing and a nightmare. Initial phase, late March, I have to know everything. WhatsApp is informative. I have to enhance my battery time and put everything on cloud, otherwise all phones were shutting down. Newspaper media, let me gobble all this information. I'm brilliant with my IQ of 120 to 150. COVID counters, tuck, 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 going on as the cases are rocketing, everyday discussions, and then, morning garden meetings replaced by COVID discussions, screen time skyrocketing, forwarding at its global maximum, and then what you can't negotiate is too much sometimes, too long, forward it to some doctor friend who can help figure it out, who himself is trying to figure out what's going on. This was the initial phase. Current phase, everyone's exhausted. Webinars are tiring me, information is moving too fast. Today it's a drug, tomorrow it's plasma, third is ventilator, fourth, God only not. Even the medical community, they also give up and they try to ask people, the domain experts, and we are also getting inundated as we speak. Either you can listen to something or you can do something. Today's breaking news is just breaking into pieces tomorrow, so we have to be troubleshooting that. So ultimately, it's let me preserve my health, exercise, and sanity, even plan for the next stage. That's the most sensible advice on the ground. What I can do makes more sense than what I cannot help with. Please give up, and that's how we created those myths and realities. Paradigms never seen before, maybe not in this scale. This is like a conclusion thing. Imagine COVID came at the highest peak of world population, zipping up 8 billion plus. Came from the country with the highest population. Looks like the good Lord had it in for us. Otherwise, why would it have been this way? Then this country is the one we've invested maximally in the last 50-20 years. Everybody is in China. Maximum flights went out from China. If you don't know China and you don't have China as 50% of your world goods, there's something wrong. So that is where it landed. Then became the fact globalization, lovely, massive airports like cities, flights on flights, every 1 minute, one flight, every 1,000 meters I hear about Heathrow, there's a flight out there. So look at it, the virus was just waiting for us to set this up, it looks like. And then comes the major thing, we are the poor sops, sitting in a corner. Healthcare, who cares about healthcare? War budgets are around 30, these army armed forces budgets are 13%, drones all over the place, everywhere money was put in healthcare, no research in virology which could help us. Virus came brilliantly, this 1 micron, little 1/100th of a hair creature, learned from all its prior guys, network better, SARS, MERS, and came out and hit us like a holocaust. I mean, it's amazing if you look at this paradigm, there's something cosmically and unreal about the whole thing. Different behavior in different countries, and we're trying to figure out whether what is this virus and its mutants. Overhauling the best systems of healthcare, they have completely raised their hands. I've never seen US accepting death like this. When 9/11 happened, we were there, and my God, that was a fraction of the deaths, and it shook them. For 1 year, planes were flying around New York. Now they're accepting deaths like crazy. Global lockdown is like the earth not rotating, never seen before. Human against human, very bad. Disease hospitalization, death in solitude. Imagine now if they pass away, there's no one at the crematorium also. Socioeconomic aspects are colossal, unfathomable, like opening Pandora's box. Brought global powers to their knees and their leaders into healthcare. Information highways, much as they're supposed to be useful, were just spreading the fear, panic and anxiety spectrums. Way out of this pandemic, database saviors, vaccine. God wish it comes. September, every day is going to give you hope. This one's ready, that one's ready. Till it hits the ground, no one's ready. Realistic expectations, February to March next year. And that to the first world will get it unless you can manage to get it. And please give few of us also at the same time. Drugs, don't know, work in progress. Herd immunity, Boris Johnson tried it and wound up in Guy's and Thomas ICU. So it takes a lot because you're putting the young on the line. Understanding is something which may help us a lot. No options, smart planning and reconciliation, accepting this new normal, the word everyone likes. A lot of luck. Heat, ECG, India, immunity, Patanjali, whatever you take, we need a lot of luck to try and get away with this. Lockdown numbers may give a false complacency. On the ground, if X numbers come, at least 5 to 10 more are out there who are infected is the prediction. So to conclude on an interesting note, what we're tackling is still the tip of the iceberg and it's moving rapidly. We think we know about it, most of it we don't know. And this particular schematic shows you, this is what lockdown is. After lockdown, you feel you're done. This is a pilot who ejects out of his burning plane only to come down to see this sea of crocodiles. This is what is going to happen post-lockdown is our fear in healthcare. We've got to get prepared. The COVID approach can be summarized as what you can do. Accept and understand, change is profound, not short-lived, dig in your heels, take on the challenges and solution-based approach more than cribbing, planning and waiting for somebody else to do it. And I put it down because we're facing it daily out here as people wait for somebody else. If somebody else holds a title, he does not have either the domain knowledge, the crisis IQ, or the ability to handle it without teamwork. Plan your space and your role. Your personal health, which worries you, don't worry. There's plenty of help on that front. That's the easiest one. Professional is what is bothering each one of us. You guys run, colossal magnets, some of you, and that is why you have to think about that. And facility management, and then public duty, both as a citizen as well as what we can do to help in this particular crisis. What you definitely should not do, and we made extensive cases, panic, give up or rebel and create more problems. Be eclipsed by information and try to negotiate something which you cannot. It's like a tadpole going through the Indian Ocean. Don't exceed your capacity to handle information. One time in the world when we are saying stay apart sensibly to stay alive, and this is the mantra. Aristotle says man is a social animal. He said that in 300 BC. Now it's called before Corona. And then came COVID as the exception to this rule. Hopefully for now only, and we can all bond with each other as has been our DNA and how we have ultimately led our lives. I'll end with some inspiring quotes. This young 16, 17-year-old Greta Thunberg, who went on the UN for climate change, said this is the biggest crisis humanity has ever faced. This is not something you can like on Facebook. It was for climate change. Climate change is there. Pollution is gone. You can't fight anymore because it's not there. What is there is COVID. So this phrase goes multifactorially for COVID. But JFK said in 1962, which I think we need now as we see few people with crisis IQ. Great crisis produces great men and great deeds of courage. We need those people on the ground. The true test of leadership is how you function in a crisis, which is what is the clarion call. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And that is why the people went to the extent of calling out, the survivors in Noah's Ark, but that was, I think, stretching it too much. I love this place to end with. When Nelson Mandela, before passing away, said that when a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace. I believe I made that effort, and that is why I will sleep for eternity. I end with this phrase: stop trying to calm the storm, calm yourself and let the storm pass, maybe taking weeks, months, or a little more. But history, the cosmic energies and time has shown that it will inevitably happen, or we will manage better. Thank you very much.